The derelict coastline of the north of Yemen. Rusting hulks tell a story of war, blockade, and devastation. For years now, the Houthi-controlled north has been increasingly isolated from the outside world. We secretly traveled through the night by boat after our previous reporting here led the government to deny us entry. On the road to Hodeidah port, we get a sense of the humanitarian disaster kept from the outside world. Along the roadside, hundreds of stalled food supply trucks with no fuel to move. In a country in the grip of hunger, their cargo stands spoiling in the hot sun. The port of Hodeidah is the supply gateway for the rest of the country. It should be bustling with activity, but today it is eerily empty. A result of the US-backed Saudi blockade. The last tanker to dock here was in December. In the echoing silence, it dawns on us. We are about to witness the terrible impact of this blockade. Desperate patients and family members trying to get the attention of Dr. Khalid, chairman of Hodeidah's hospital. If he signs these papers, they get some financial relief for their treatments and medicines. He doesn't get far before he is stopped again and again. Since the Yemen war started 6 years ago, families have been in financial freefall. The fuel blockade has sped that descent into oblivion. This is the main hospital for Hodeidah province, and we're surrounded by doctors and nurses rushed off their feet.
This is a garden, our garden.
Is this a normal day? Is this busy all the time?
No, not the busiest day.
This is not a busy day?
This is a normal day.
Wow. Dr. Khalid wants to show us some of his critical patients in the therapeutic feeding center. A 10-year-old girl whose growth has been so stunted by starvation, she can no longer stand. Dr. Khalid says every hour of every day they are receiving more and more cases of severe malnutrition that are this advanced because the parents can't afford to feed their children. They also can't afford to bring them to the hospital to treat them. The UN says pockets of Yemen are in famine-like conditions, but it says Hodeidah is not considered one of them because it doesn't meet the metrics to declare famine. But Dr. Khalid thinks the reality on the ground has outpaced the UN's projections. The Saudi fuel blockade is biting. Malnutrition numbers are spiking, and at the same time, this busy hospital is running out of the vital fuel that keeps its generators running. Which means that babies like Maryam, who doctors say at 2 months weighs the same as a newborn, would die. Over half the hospitals in this district are threatened with shuttering. This is one of them. They need urgent support, urgent help. Can you imagine what it would do to this community if this facility was shut down? Look at the chaos that there is already here, and that's while it's functioning. For years now, the UN has been warning that famine is coming to Yemen. Doctors across Yemen's north tell us famine has arrived. Another hospital witnessing wave after wave of children in the red zone, severe malnourishment. Impoverished mothers, desperate to keep their children alive, are forced to make harrowing choices.
Just to get to the hospital, I stopped eating and drinking. Not even water, just to get him treated.
These doctors are keeping track of the numbers spiking beyond what they ever imagined. The doctor was saying that in 2020, this population, 23% of the children under 5 here were severely malnourished. In 2021, they think that that number is going to go over 30%. There is no doubt in his mind, he says, that they here in Hajjah are in famine. Nearly 3 years ago, the UN Security Council condemned the use of starvation as a method of warfare, demanding access to supplies that are necessary for food preparation, including water and fuel, be kept intact, here and in other conflicts. That clearly hasn't happened. What's more, the world has stopped caring. The UN needs almost $4 billion to staunch this crisis. They received less than half that from donors. Numbers don't lie. But numbers also don't reflect the full tragedy. This is Hassan Ali. 10 months and struggling to breathe, he came into the hospital 6 days ago. He keeps losing weight, even with the critical care he's receiving. Hours after we left, Hassan Ali died. One more child in Yemen that represents so much more pain. The doctors here are desperate for the world to see and to help. نعم الباغر CNN حديدة يمن.